Hey everyone, Dan Dog Crypto. I know it's been a while. Of course, I've been away dealing with family events, but the market's craziness. Well, certainly being a follower of Richard Hart, we all know what has happened with the SEC allegedly the influencer buying sports cars, and of course the SEC, which ends up being one who makes these claims that Hex is a Ponzi scheme. He allegedly takes 12 million. But when you look at this whole event, everything, the FUD, the uncertainty and doubt, but anyone that's looking from the outside in on Richard Hart because they did not understand or follow, or anyone that has become familiar with Hex and how it operated. Hex is a decentralized protocol. During the launch phase, that 1 year launch, the lobby, at no time did anyone work to perform efforts, and certainly Richard Hart made it clear. When you interacted with that protocol and you sent over your ETH or you free claimed your Bitcoin, at that point, each day there was 5 million Hex that would be available. And as you interacted with the protocol, a distribution occurred. You minted your Hex yourself. It's the same when you mined and you mint for T-shares. At no time, this protocol or efforts are done on the behalf of anyone. So now what happens here is Hex, the inflation fully occurred at the end of the launch, that if 100% of all investors are staked, it would be 3.65% of inflation. But what has to happen, you interact with this decentralized protocol. But no one is doing any work on the behalf. And certainly Richard Hart is not. Hex was a complete finished product. And certainly from the beginning called a scam. But he was trying to steer people away from scams, from projects that were rug pulls. So Hex certainly is down because of the FUD. So if the SEC is to protect anyone, and to help investors, they certainly are not. Where if anyone was down on Hex or with Pulse or PulseX or certainly any other Hedron, Icosa, any project that was linked to Pulse or Hex, certainly on the pulsechain, has been affected. So how is that protecting investors? Hex is a complete and finished product. But as we know, within cryptography, cryptocurrency, from the beginning, certainly in the beginning where it all starts, we have our Bitcoin. So now when the Bitcoin maxis look and point fingers at a Richard Hart who was a Bitcoin bull, Bitcoin evangelist, but then he saw the light and understood smart contract. But now they look at it and says, there is no way that you can develop and perform a product and be able to offer a mining facility. At one point, they would call it staking. You mint your own hex through the T-shares. So hex being a complete and finished product, anyone that has interacted with it has done so freely. But remember, Bitcoin, allegedly a scam, that you'd have terrorists that would be using the protocol, drug dealers. This is the view that they had on Bitcoin. And Bitcoin right now is the darling that they look at, and they want to tokenize everything through smart contracts. So now the legacy money does see the light and the importance of the technology, but the everyday common person that now early adopters or ones that have adopted hacks, who truly hurt them? The protectors of investors or the protectors to control, manipulate, and enslave, where cryptocurrency gives you the freedom because it is the highest appreciating asset class, it becomes very volatile. But in this case, the volatility that occurred is from a Gary Gensler that has come out and attacking the Hex and pulsechain community. United, when everyone stands together, when you're divided, you are weak. So Hex, certainly, and pulsechain, we know is a complete and finished product. We have seen what has happened when we have this whole craziness in the market, but it became an opportunity because Pulse has recovered and it's up 51%. But all projects on the pulsechain ecosystem were all affected. So the support for Richard Hart and what he's accomplished, but the importance is also understanding the attack. What is a sacrifice? No expectations, possibly that you may receive something, but it's uncertain. So the sacrifice, which alleges that people invested in pulsechain, but it's a sacrifice, but it's not an investment, but every project has been affected. That's why we all need to unite, but it's the important to support. Even BitBoy Crypto, which ended up being on Corey's channel, supporting Hex. And he created and is supporting and promoting Ben. So now we have also Pulse Zen, which was affected. But as you can see, there was a recovery. PulseChain is an alternative. The advocate for PulseChain is Conrad Zen, but he was a strong supporter of Hex. And I believe a unity needs to occur. Conrad Zen, during the launch, there was accusations that this project was compared to the Safe Moon, a scam, where I came out supporting and explaining the difference and the contract. My intent to come out to support Conrad Zen is because of his integrity. So things occurred that created some negativity, but I believe that we all must unite, support Richard Hart, support pulsechain, also Conrad Zen being a true OG. And Pulse Zen, the subset community, arrived from another community. And then from there, they chose to interact with Pulse Zen. So there can be a cooperation where a support for pulsechain, Hex, an advocate for Pulse Zen, Conrad Zen, but just the presence in Conrad Zen truly being a Hex OG, there can be a cross promotion, but just his presence supporting Richard Hart. And I believe that that's what we all should do. But Conrad Zen was there, and the launch of the documentary, Conrad Zen may not be present in it, but he was a strong supporter. And I believe no different how BitBoy Crypto came out vocally to support Richard Hart and Hex, even though he is an advocate for Ben. Well, Conrad Zen can be an advocate for Pulse Zen, but also support other projects, certainly Hex, and can interact with all the influencers within the Hex community. Does not have to directly promote Pulse Zen, but just his presence with Hex will bring an awareness to Pulse Zen, because we're all part of the same ecosystem, which is pulsechain. And I hope that that occurs where Conrad Zen can come out still supporting Richard Hart and so still supporting Hex, pulsechain, which we know he's a strong supporter of, because it will benefit all. And any project that has launched, that has done a sacrifice, potentially with the SEC attack on Richard Hart, puts pressure. But we see that a community is the importance, where the community has come together in support and reversing this sell-off that occurred. And this sell-off would be trying to create panic, to create a bank run. And we've seen large wallets attempt to do this, to create panic. And the community is strong. So the SEC within the Hex community, over 200,000 plus holders, has really attacked common, ordinary, and yes, some large whale positions, all to protect investors. So this is an attempt to destroy true decentralized finance, just with what Uniswap has done by eliminating Hex from its front end. But yes, there's other portals that may be used. Swappedron.org, Pontiac is another one. So Hex is going to be interacted with through decentralized finance. PulseZen is an alternative which gives everyone a income generating asset. Hex was generating a certificate, a mining that you receive your rewards through the inflation from your T shares. If you are staked, you get your percentage. Alternative, which was PulseZen, which is through interactions, through a transaction transfer. PulseZen is certainly early. I believe economic mass into PulseZen will create upside dramatically. And the more that we create Newton's law or a network effect, Hex has a strong community and has created a network effect. Conrad Zen and the old Hex OGs that are advocates, and certainly from your tweets, from your YouTube, Hex has a community. Conrad Zen is also part of that community, and I hope that an amends can occur, because the community, the network effect, the audience is there, and Conrad Zen does have integrity, credibility, and truly has been a true advocate for how Hex was understood, as well as others. And now, because of an alternative, which is PulseZen, there may have been some interactions that were negative. And my support for Conrad was to shed light that no, it is not a scam. But I hope we can all unite, feel comfortable in interacting where anyone has a choice, where you hold your keys, you hold your coins in a decentralized wallet, but you may have many other options. But at the end, what has to happen is the survival and the strength of pulsechain is important, because all projects were affected and are recovering. So supporting across the board. We don't have to just be tribalistic. We can interact, still be supportive of Richard Hart with pulsechain, where naturally the community, the network effect has occurred, and there will be subset communities through that network that then trickles down. And I hope that Conrad Zen is able to, we'll say, make amends, but be able to interact with the Hex community, because it benefits all and certainly will benefit Pulse Zen, but also supporting decentralized finance. Pulse Zen is early. Economic mass, force, as it occurs, I believe will create a movement to the upside. You have to be patient. Sometimes things do not move at the speed that you will want. You hodl if you do not, and you trade, potentially that's a great way to lose money. The goal is to invest and be in projects that will be here for the long haul. Whether something pumps, goes up, the market will decide, but within the ecosystem of Pulse Chain, I believe that Pulse Zen, as I've always said, more eyes, and as Conrad Zen is able to interact through a subset community, be supportive, and I know he will be, because he too is a holder of Hex. Now, as the devs from the Pulse Zen clear up CoinMarketCap and get a true listing, that will change a lot. And as more interactions occur, and that we finalize and understand that Pulse Zen is a complete and finished product that generates a yield. And when things happen, they can happen dramatically, quickly, and fast, but also they can take time in the market. Don't let fudders fud you out, but certainly what has happened over the past 2 days certainly has united all, but has affected all. Some may look from the outside and clap and wish harm, but cryptography and cryptocurrency truly represents freedom for the people in a decentralized manner. Pulse Chain delivers this, Hex delivers this, and Pulse Zen, alternative investment vehicle, also delivers this. Talk to you soon. Wish everyone the best.